Okay, this is part two of the human body will always be the world's most dangerous weapon. Yes, the way Fatal Fury says it sounds a lot better. The human body will always be the world's most dangerous machine. My way is more logical because the human body will always be the world's dangerous weapon. Now, when I left off, I was talking about being critiqued by your sensei, your sifu, your teacher, whatever. The reason why this is important, which a lot of you people don't do, a lot of you senseis don't do because a lot of y'all do grab the money and you continue to teach, but you don't do the one thing that you probably should do, which is tell your student the truth. Yo, um, you're not bad, you're not great, and we're gonna get you to good, and then work on great. All right. Now I just offended about 90 people right there with that statement. All right. I was probably Master Ennis's worst Taekwondo student. He never told me that. What he said was, and I quote, a dead man, God rest his soul. How is it that you can spar and fight, but you can't do katas to save your life? And I said, it's really quite simple. Every school I ever been to before I came to you never taught me katas. They taught me how to fight. And this is why I always said when I go to other dojos, can I fight for my belt? And every sensei in every school in Charlottesville, Virginia, has pretty much told me, get the fuck out. We do not fight for our belts here. And I respectfully leave. Except with that incident with the International Black Belt School. Because those guys were assholes. And two assholes can't work together. I'm an asshole, but I admit it. But there's a thing about respect as martial artists. I don't give a damn if this guy's the biggest jerk on the fucking planet. If we're in that dojo and we are martial artists, we respect that dojo and we respect each other. Now, if we take that shit outside and I have to beat his ass, that's a whole nother level of this is how you earn my respect. Because I'm going to beat it into you. That is not something that I promote, but that is some shit that has to happen sometimes. When I went to the International Black Belt School, I was trying to get a martial artist for my first movie, um, Fallen Dragons. So I wanted martial artists. I didn't want actors. I wanted martial artists because I wanted to make this thing good enough to get back to Millennium. And I didn't get martial artists because every dojo kicked me out. Because I asked them if I could hang my flyer. The guy at the International Black Belt Center, the head sensei, he took my flyer and balled it up in my face and told me to get out. Now, if you would have just like told me to get out, no, you can't hang your flyer here, that wouldn't have been a problem. But he just like, hell no, and dropped it. I didn't pick it up. I left that shit there. But I was mad as hell. And he's like, you need to leave my dojo. I said, dude, I'm here looking for martial artists because I want to make a movie. And he didn't even let me finish telling him why I need to make the movie. He just told me to get the fuck out without any kind of respect. And he was a black belt. And I swear, still to this day, I have not forgotten that shit. I forgive, but I ain't forgotten. And if I meet the guy, I might have to posthumously remember what the fuck he said to me. But he was about the age I am now. So I would respectfully not break him in half. But at that same time, other dojos that I went to prior to trying to make movies, I literally had asked because I went around. I was like, "Yo, can I fight for my black belt?" The only dojo that did not have a black belt system was a kung fu school. Um, Damn it, what the hell was it? It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna say it even if I remember it. But the sensei was part native. He was Creek, so he had nothing but respect for me. And he said, I'm sorry, we do kung fu. We don't fight for belts here. And we don't really fight for sashes. And he also hated the belt and sash system. So to wherever you are, brother, thank you. But the other fucking dojos here, even when I went to Richmond to talk to Dong, it's like, we don't fight for our belts here. It's like, well, how do y'all know if what you are teaching us is going to work if you don't fight for it? He's like, you need to get out of my dojo. I was like, I'm asking an honest question because I'm a martial artist. If the shit that I'm paying you to teach me doesn't work, I need to know the easy way before I find out waking up in the hospital. You need to leave my dojo. And he didn't do it in a disrespectful way. Dong was pretty nice about it, and I left. But other martial artists, especially the ones in Charlottesville, had raw hairs up their ass. Nah, you need to get out my dojo. Get out my dojo. Get out my dojo. I went to a place in Ruckersville. They didn't have bad things to say. It's like, yeah, we're not that kind of dojo. And I went to the Seven Tigers, and they they really didn't want me in there. But the only thing that the sensei told me, and he wasn't a bad guy, the sensei straight told me, he's like, yeah, you too hardcore. I said, I'm not being hardcore. I'm being honest. I need to make sure that what I'm learning in your dojo is going to save my ass in the streets. Look at my skin color, dude. I live in a bad neighborhood. I need to make sure that if I kung fu chop somebody or karate kick them, that they are going to not only go down, but they are going to stay down. Now, let me spin it back around to why I said this is important that you critique your students. This is important that you let them know politely where their level is. All right? Because you want to make sure that they understand the importance of getting better versus just getting through. All right? Now, Mr. Ennis, when he told me that I can fight very well and I can spar, but I can't do katas, and I had to explain to him, I said, dude, I never learned katas before I came to Taekwondo. Never learned them. Every martial art that I've ever been to, they kung fu, boom, close on impact, mantis, strike, snake, strike, tiger, strike, dragon, strike, grapple, break, crane. You know, I was taught how to fight with those. I wasn't taught how to do katas. All right, I learned katas late in life. I didn't learn them from the jump. Now I learned them late in life, and so you have to learn how to adapt, which is another thing where I say you have to meet your students on their level. You can't make them go day one unless they've never done martial arts before. Then day one, because you can't untrain anybody, which is what makes the human body the world's most dangerous machine. You can add to my training. You can't take away from my training. I can't wipe my body and my mind completely clean of everything that I've learned over the years. And this is a problem when I talk about second nature. Because if you watch my videos, you will see the pattern. All right? A lot of people don't see the pattern because they're not martial artists. And if you are a martial artist, I don't expect you to see the pattern. All right? Now, I'm one of those people. I generally throw jab, 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 cross, and then I'll throw in some kicks. Sometimes it's jab, jab, kick. Sometimes it's jab, 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 kick. And I have a combo of which I generally follow because they are basic and they win fights. Where when you see me doing demonstrations and I do jumping spin kicks and tornado kicks and other things, which I can no longer legally do because of my hip replacement, impact is pretty bad. So you have to be real careful when you have a hip replacement on the moves you choose to do. This is why I tell you the truth. I have to have almost impeccable timing, especially at 49, to pull off a jumping spinning back kick or a jumping spinning round kick to catch someone in a fucking fight. I don't have the time for that. Fights don't last more than 2 to 5 minutes unless they are in a professional setting because you get breaks. All right, you have 3 5-minute rounds, or you have 5 3-minute rounds, or however it works, depending on whatever company you're with. I don't remember how Rec and Havoc did it. I know UFC has three rounds, and I think they're 5 minutes. I'm not gonna swear that they could be 3 minutes. You guys can go fact check that shit and let me know in the comments. But most fights, real fights, generally don't last 5 minutes unless both of y'all are really fucking good and really fucking tough. Alright? If you got like a steel chin and you can keep taking hits to the face and the chin and the forehead and you keep coming, and I can't put you down by body shots or headshots, and you can't put me down by body shots or headshots, that means we're both really good. We're also jacked on adrenaline, and when all that shit is over, we're gonna feel that shit tomorrow. But the point being made is, if we're both that good, it's going to come down to who's in better shape physically. It's literally going to come down to cardio. It's literally going to come down to cardio. Because at the end of the day, it's going to matter which one of us knows how to breathe during this fight and which one of us don't. And it also relies on who's going to make the fucking mistake. Alright? And see, people don't tell you all this shit when you follow them on the internet. It's like, Echo doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, yes, I fucking do. Trust me. I'm small. It doesn't take that much for me to move around you. My problem is how long are your arms? How long are your legs? What's your punching power? Your punching power ratio is very important to me. Because if you hit me with everything you got and it doesn't hurt, then I don't have anything to worry about. If you kick me with everything you got and it doesn't hurt, I don't have anything to worry about. If you kick me with everything you got and you break my arms when I block that bitch, there's a fucking problem. My arms are broken. Blocking is going to be exceptionally difficult now. And that could work the other way. I can kick you as hard as I can and I can break your arms. Or I can kick you as hard as I can and I can break your legs. Or my own leg when I throw the kick, depending on how you block that bitch. I tell people all the time, test the waters. And I know it sounds bad. It's probably something you've never heard of, but test the waters. Because I tell people the same way it was taught to me by my bro A-Dog. Just give them enough. Don't put everything behind it. I said, well, I already knew that. He's like, yeah, but you ain't got range. I was like, that's a good point. So now I have to make sure I have to control the range. Not just my range, but your range. I'm 5'3.5". I'm always going to try to maneuver to the outside because it's a kung fu habit. However, if I keep stepping to my left to get to your outside and you keep stepping to your right to prevent it, then you may know a little bit more than what I think you know, and that's going to cause a problem for me. Now, if I know I'm short-legged and I have to get you to throw a kick so I can kick your kick to push you off balance to get you out of range so that I can be in range and move in for that strike. Now, I made a video about this the other day on TikTok, and if you're long and lanky and we're just fighting for points in a sporting event, you can push kick me all day. You don't even have to put your hands on me. You just keep push kicking me in the chest and win by points. Now the thing is, you also got to know how to control that range. And see, a lot of people don't understand what that means. All right, I'm short. I have to move into your range to get struck. So once I'm in striking distance, this fight can go one or two ways. It can go in my way or it can go in your way. If I fuck up, it's your fight. All I gotta do is just get through it. And knowing that I don't have any ground game, I know I'm not gonna let you take me down. And this is another thing that you have to understand. Not all fights go to the ground. And sometimes taking people to the ground is a very bad fucking idea. And now a lot of people are gonna be like, well, that's not how that works. That's not, you know what? You sprawling into a knee to the face, if you think that's a good idea, then knock yourself the fuck out. I'm not going to sprawl. If you come at me in the shape I'm in now, which is bad, I'm going to assassinate your shit. I'm going to knee you dead in the goddamn face. I don't give a fuck if it's against the rules. You came down there. And let's not forget, I'm 5'3.5". You gotta come down to take me down. And that could be led to a straight guillotine choke. It could be led to me punching you somewhere I'm not supposed to. Not like in the testicles, but like straight sternum, straight throat. It could lead to me locking your shit up and you trying to get me on the ground. I'm trying to kill you. That's the difference maker. You trying to get me on the ground so that you can ground and pound. I'm not letting it happen. I'm trying to kill you. And in case you get me to the ground, I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to be in control. You can be on top of me all day. But eventually, when I reel up and your head's in there and you getting the guillotine choke out of your shit because you thought it was a good idea to take somebody who's already small to the ground, you're going to fuck around and find out that that was not the best idea you've had. And I promise you, you won't be thinking about taking somebody to the ground ever the fuck again. I learned that my ground game sucked when I was in the Army. Alright? I learned BJJ in the Army. I suck at it. Can I still fight somebody who does BJJ? Fuck yeah. Are they going to kick my ass? Fuck no. Because BJJ is not going to work if you don't get me on the motherfucking ground. If I can outmaneuver you, if I can out-wrestle you, if I can control the range of that fight, you're not getting me to the motherfucking ground. In the events that you get me to the ground, I have options. A lot of y'all, when y'all watch these UFC fights and you see people on side mount, you don't see the guy on the bottom jamming them fucking knees into your ribs. You got me on the ground. and you trying to work my upper body, my lower body is going to be kneeing the fuck out of some ribs and some kidneys. I'm going to do something to get you the fuck up off me. No. Because I'm already on my back, so it's not much I can really do but guillotine choke you or fuck your ribs up. And I'm going to fuck your ribs up while you're hitting me in the face. So unless I lose consciousness, I'm going to fuck your shit up while I'm underneath you. No, it's just that simple. I won't be able to get a lot of fighting power for uppercuts, but those ribs, I can tag those ribs. While I'm defending, I can still tag those ribs. And if I'm using both hands, my knees still fucking work. So, I don't have good ground game, but I have great survival instincts, and I know how to use my body. Now, when I was in the Army doing BJJ, I couldn't get my partner off me. Once he straddled over top of my gut, that was it. He was way bigger, way stronger, and I could not get him off me. At least not legally. So I headbutted him in his dick. I didn't give a shit. It's like, nah. And whenever the senseis weren't watching is when I did it. He's like, man, you gotta stop doing that. I said, hey man, I'm 5'3". You every bit of 6'10". I'm not letting you whoop my ass up here. I'm 37 fucking years old. I've been in more fights than anybody in this motherfucking room. Trust me when I tell you, if I'm up under you, I ain't gonna be under your ass long. And every time I had him on side mount, it was just like he was on his back doing a reverse push-up and just flung me into the air. Like I said, at that time I was 140 some odd pounds, so that's not light, but it's light to this guy who's 6'10". He's like really fucking tall. He's scrawny, but he's tall and he's strong. And they taught us the arm bar, they taught us transitions, and that was great. And I know how to do transitions. I know how to counter transitions for the most part. But that does not mean I'm good at that shit. It just means I know how to do it. But I know how to fucking fight. So I also know, it's like, I'm going to make sure that if you're on top of me and you're side mounting my shit, I'm kneeing you and all of this shit because you're occupied with my hands and you're side mounted. So unless you're kneeing me while you're side mounted, I'm going to be kneeing the fuck out of you. And if you're kneeing me, I'm still going to be kneeing the fuck out of you. Because I don't want to be under you that long. No. I don't want to be under you long enough for you to swell my fucking face up. And this is why I said you have to fight to make sure your shit works. Now, a video on my TikTok the other night, I saluted the sensei. He got geared up and he let his students pretty much massacre him, and he showed them how to do it, which means his shit's going to work. Now, what you need to understand in that situation also, that if you are a sensei in a Sifu, a Shidoshi, if you're teaching anybody, you have to teach them 2.5 things. In other words, you have to teach them a few things. The first thing is you have to teach them not to be afraid to fight. And when I say that, you have to teach them how to conquer their fear of fighting their instincts and themselves so that what can be done will be done. And you have to teach them how to not be afraid to fight the opponent in front of them. Because we all have a little fear. Fear can be good, fear can be bad. It's just depending on who's teaching you what, where, when, and how. And this hasn't offered me my alarm yet. So I guess I gotta wait a few minutes. Anyway, you have to understand how fighting works. And if you are not fighting, if you only go to the dojo and y'all don't have a sparring session at least once a week, then the dojo needs to offer you guys a sparring session. And if you're going to spar with people, you're going to spar with everybody in that dojo, regardless of rank, regardless of size. Because if you don't, you are not going to learn how to fight people of different sizes, and this will affect you on an unquantifiable level of you're going to get fucked up if you don't. See, if you think you're always going to fight somebody your size, save that for the professional fighting, because you're always going to fight somebody in your weight class. They may have longer range, they may have shorter legs or longer arms or shorter arms. They may be taller, they may be smaller, but you're both weighing 135. So that's like the only thing that weight classes count for is in professional fighting. When you get out in the street, if you have to fight somebody as big as Viscera, God rest his soul, if you have to fight somebody as big as Viscera, go Google him. He's a big guy. If you got to fight somebody as big as the Kamala, if you got to fight somebody as big as Kevin Nash or The Rock, you're going to need to have sparred with somebody of those sizes. And I know people who are doing martial arts are going to tell you, don't believe Echo Van Grey Wolf on that shit. And I'm going to tell you, okay, don't believe me. And when you have to fight somebody who's huge and you choose to walk away, great. But what if they don't let you walk away? See, people don't understand that shit. I'm the poster boy for size doesn't matter. The bigger you are, the harder I'm going to hit you. Point blank, period. And not only am I going to hit you hard, I'm going to use lethal ordnance. Why? Because I fucking can. Not because I want to, but because I fucking can. And if you don't like that, that's a you problem. You shouldn't have been fucking with me. It's just that simple. And I'm 49. I'm not playing with you young whippersnappers. I'm fixing to destroy your shit. I plan on sending you to the hospital. Without question, without remorse, I'm on that I don't give a fuck shit. You came at me, and now you're hurt. And you're not going to want to come see me when we're done. Because I'm going to make damn sure that when I hurt you but fucking good. So that you're going to understand, I'm not the one to fuck with. And you might want to go get a gun and shoot me and end my life. And that's because you're a bitch. And that's what you want to do. Because you don't want to take that ass whooping. Well, maybe if you didn't start the fight in the first place, you wouldn't get your ass kicked. Now, a lot of people are going to come at me like, well, I'm bigger than you. I should be able to beat you. Yeah, you're bigger than me. That ain't got a damn thing to do with my fighting skills. That's got something to do with your fighting skills. And like I said, I got like rules in which I live by. All right? And my number one rule is the bigger you are, the harder I'm going to hit you. Doesn't mean I'm going to beat you. It just means I got to work. And I'm going to put that fucking work in because you're not going to give me a choice. A lot of people fail to understand the difference between a real fight and a sports fight. And a sports fight is still a real fight. Don't get it twisted just because I said it that way. A sporting fight is still a real fight. You just have a set of rules that you must follow. Alright? Can't purposely gouge out eyes. Can't try to kill people. That is illegal. You know? You can break their arms, but you can't do it intentionally. You know? That motherfucker just wouldn't tap. You know? So if he wouldn't tap, y'all can stay in that position all day. You can just keep reeling on it, and eventually it's probably going to break. Which would be the competitor's fault because he chose not to tap the fuck out. He's going to pay for that later, but, you know, it, never say die. Your arm get broke. Now, if you're Forrest Griffin, on the other hand, well, you can beat somebody's ass after they break your arm with the other arm. So, hey, it is what it is. And if that's how you are tough enough to do that, I got no problem with that. I'm not trying to get my shit broke, though. Understand, I am not afraid to tap the fuck out. My cousin put me in an ankle lock once, and I tapped out. Because I was like, you know, if I tap out, he'll always have that over me. And he does. But he can't beat my ass if we got into a real fight. Because he's not going to be able to get me to the ground. I got more fighting experience than him. You know. Now, on the other hand, I learned something from that. Don't get in any grapples. No. Learn how to escape every fucking move and do whatever you have to do to make sure that shit doesn't happen. Shout out to my cousin E-Dog. Anyway, now, am I humiliated that he tapped me out? Nah. Because he's the only one that's tapped me out an ankle lock. But see, it also wasn't a real fight. So, when you're playing around, you know, it ain't real. Now, when it gets real, oh, I ain't got to worry about none of my cousins on either one of my sides fucking with me. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Now, unless they cold cock me from the back with like some kind of bat or some shit or a rock, they're not whooping my ass. They know it, and I know it. And you know what else I know? I'm not afraid to kill them. They don't have that instinct. I do. And you know the fucked up part about it? The only person they can blame is their dads. Because their dads didn't make them fight. Their dads made me fight. So, it is what it is. But the thing is, I also went to the military. I learned a little bit of shit. I actually learned almost nothing because I had a little more knowledge than what the people were teaching us. But you can get extra training in the military if you go to SF school or if you go to Ranger school, which I didn't qualify for. So it is what it is. But like I said, most fights don't go to the ground. And most fights don't last but 2 to 5 minutes. And it's very fast 2 to 5 minutes. It's not going to be blink of the eye. It's not going to be Thanos snap. But it's going to be very fast. Now, the thing is, the human body is a very dangerous weapon. If taught properly, A 4'11" woman can beat up a 6'6" man without a fucking issue. A 5'3.5" man can beat up a 6'1.5" man if taught properly. Now here's the part where reality kicks in. They gotta work because they don't have the physical strength. But that does not mean they don't have the martial art or the physical knowledge to disembowel a human body. When I tell people, if you throw this punch and it's like this, and if you're gonna grind it or whatever, I just gotta not be there when you throw this punch. I need to be over here. I'm gonna grab this wrist, I'm gonna grab this elbow. I'm going to pull the wrist and push the elbow. And then I'm gonna catch you. Up here, in here, or down here. I'm going to catch you. And I'm also gonna catch that leg. I'm controlling the range by getting out of the way. I'm baiting your ass in because I have to. And if you throw a straight jab and I decide I'm going to Kempo knuckle strike your fucking hand, which I'm going to pow, I'm going to hit you in your metacarpals, and I'm going to do a double knuckle strike. You're going to feel that shit. If I do it in time, now be honest about it, if I do it in time, when you throw that jab and I crack that shit, and you snatch your hand back, and you start doing this, I'm still coming at you. While you're shaking your shit. Now, if we're sparring and we're friends, I'm going to leave you the fuck alone. But if you're the enemy, and you throw that jab, and I smack the fuck out that bitch with my two knuckles alike, pow, and you do this, bam, before you know what happened, you're hit again. And I'm not going to stop until either you bleed or you pass the fuck out. And why is that? Because I'm 5'3", and if I don't get the jump on you, you're going to get the jump on me, and I'm not playing with you when we get into this fucking fight. Understand that shit. Fights, real fights, they only last 2 to 5 minutes unless both of y'all are really good, really tough, really strong. And I don't mean physically strong. I just mean mentally strong enough to keep going. And your body can keep up with your mind. But if it can't, and you go to sleep, yay me. Because I'm going to try to put you in an unconscious state, because if you can't breathe, you can't hurt me. I do targeted fighting for a reason. I'm small. I do not have time to play games. So if I crack this, and you snatch back, and I crack you in the side of your neck, I meant to hit you in your neck. I wasn't going for your face. I was going for your neck, because I'm going to try to collapse your fucking windpipe. And I'll deal with the cops when I get there. It's like, well, there's two things we got to have a talk about. Say, one, he started it. Two, I finished it. Here you go. And he'd be like, well, you want to tell us what happened? This motherfucker attacked me. I did what I was taught to do. That's it. I ain't got to say nothing else except for the words, I want a lawyer. That's it. Because I'll straight tell him, look, I told him, like I tell everybody else, I know martial arts. If you choose to engage after you know that I know martial arts, that's your fault. This show was called Kung Fu Havoc, number 2. Take that into perspective. Kung Fu and Havoc. Alright, Havoc was one of my favorite X-Men. Still one of my favorite X-Men. Maybe not in the current, but back in the 80s, Havoc was one of my favorite X-Men. My lineup was pretty much Colossus, Havoc, Wolverine. All three of them were running in a tie. For male X-Men. All female X-Men were my favorite. Especially like Jubilee and Asian Psylocke and fucking Danielle Moonstar. Everyone else in my top 4. Jubilee, Boom Boom Tabitha Smith, Danielle Moonstar, Asian Psylocke. Alright? I like Rogue, I like Storm, I love Dazzler, I was in love with Dazzler, and I liked European Psylocke. But those ones I named right there, they were the best for me. And it is what it is. I left off Karma also. She was a New Mutant, she was Vietnamese. But anyway, those ones, they were the best. They had the best storylines. It was just that simple. Wolfsbane wasn't too bad, but I'm not really fond of wolf stories. Because her stories, they went back to old Irish or Scottish language, whatever St. Clair is. And it was great, but it wasn't, it wasn't my cup of tea with New Mutants. But Danielle Moonstar, they kind of kept screwing her over, but she was one of my favorite New Mutants. Kitty, Ileana, they were all great, but Danielle was the shit because I'm part native. Anyway, getting back on topic, knowing that you can fight is just as important as learning how to fight. Knowing that your body is capable of doing great feats of damage to somebody else is also a great thing to know. And the reason why I say that, as I check this alarm because it's after 11:30. Okay, good. All right, so now I can cut my alarm off. You have to know what you can do, and you need to be taught what you can do. So when you are in a dojo, you need to spar with everybody. You have to. Everyone in that dojo, at least the people in your class, and if you stay for the next class or whatever, ask the sensei, like, hey, can I spar with some of your higher ranking people in the dojo? If he asks why, I'm going to give you my answer. You have to come out with your own. My answer is simple. I want to make sure what you're teaching me is working. As a white belt, if I can go hands up or toe to toe with your best black belt and make this motherfucker work, then I know your shit's working. Say, but that's not your level. I said, but how am I going to get there if I don't train? You know, because a lot of people go to the dojo, but they don't train when the dojo's over. When that dojo, if you go to class at 7, you get out by 8 or 7:45. Let's say you go for the whole hour. You get out at 8. You stick around and watch the next class or ask if you can stay and just train over a little extra time over in the corner. Now, some teachers will let you do that, and some teachers won't because it's a distraction. Now, if the dojo is big enough, if the dojo has 2 rooms, like, yeah, you can go in the other room and train while I teach this class. You know, here, take Bob. You know, go there and you can train. Now, the reason why I say that, if you have a dojo that has enough space where you have 2 training rooms, then your sensei shouldn't have a problem with you staying a little later and putting in the extra work. Now, unless there's another class going on in that dojo as well as in the other part of the dojo, then you can't really train there. But you can go home and train. And a lot of people don't do that. When I left any dojo that I was training at, I came home and I trained. Backyard, in the project's backyard, I trained, I trained, I trained. I don't have that youth now. But I still fucking train. Except for right now because my ankle's fucked up. But I can still train. But this gets boring. I like using my feet. I'm better with my feet. You know, this is like just basically blocking or fanning flies. But you know, I mean, it's still training. You gotta put that work in. You have to put that fucking work in. You have to. And you have to do that extra training. And I know that this is like, why? How else? How else can your human body become the world's most dangerous machine? It can't. Excuse me. If you are not training, it can't. Alright? So I'm going to end this video here. I hope I taught you guys something. Please, if you're going to get into martial arts, figure out why you're going to get into martial arts first, and then do it. If you want to become a true martial artist, just remember this one thing. Training does not stop when the dojo closes. Training just gets started. And that way you can dedicate yourself to the martial arts. That being said, I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. I gotta go see why this dumbass dog is working. Be seeing you.